Hi, welcome to Off Script. I'm Zach Lewis.
And I'm Dr. Draper.
Today on the show, it's fall, baby, and we are back in the studio, our respective studios, to talk about Roofman, a new Derek Cianfrance movie. Blue Valentine, Place Behind the Pines, Derek Cianfrance, right? He's got a new film out. It stars Channing Tatum. He lives in a Toys R Us. Also stars Kirsten Dunst, Peter Dinklage, Lakeith Stanfield, Juno Temple. Ben Mendelsohn is in that movie. Kind of strange. We're also going to take a look at House of Dynamite. This is Kathryn Bigelow's new movie. Yeah, Hurt Locker, Kathryn Bigelow. Zero Dark 30, Kathryn Bigelow. Was married to James Cameron, Kathryn Bigelow. Won the Oscar over James Cameron, Kathryn Bigelow. Yeah, for Hurt Locker over Avatar, you remember. Anyway, her new movie's out, House of Dynamite. It's on Netflix. It is about global thermonuclear war and the systems of the U.S. government that are in place to hopefully stop it when a rogue nuclear missile is launched at the United States, and a bunch of people have to scramble to figure out what to do. We're going to take a look at this Hollywood Reporter article, too. While we were gone, Hollywood Reporter put out this brutal article about how Kevin Costner lost Hollywood. On-set brawls, courtroom battles, epic bombs, why the world's most bankable cowboy is suddenly shooting blanks. Andy and I got the whole write-up for you. We're going to summarize it real fast. You're going to love it. We're going to talk about some TV, some things coming up. We got to talk about the new It series, Welcome to Derry. We got to talk about The Chair Company over on HBO, a new Tim Robinson show. So yeah, lots to talk about. We were off last week. Excited to be back in the mix this week. First things first, we talk about the news. Got a quick story. It seems like Jared Leto is not going to be leading movies anymore. It just seems like he's done being a leading man. Hollywood Reporter had this story, quote, "No one asked for this. Tron may mark the end of Jared Leto's franchise leading days." Andy, we watched Tron just a couple weeks ago for the podcast. What do you know about this?
So Tron opened to disastrous numbers. It's, I think, now made a little bit over $100 million, but it was a $180 million film. Probably needs to clear like 350 or more to begin to make profit. Huge disaster for Disney. The film was up and down. It was kind of fine. It's a good like first kids action film. But Jared Leto has never really been a box office draw or leading man, but he's been given these roles somehow. And even before the failure of Tron, studios were starting to back away from him for the failures of things like Morbius, or when he played the Joker in the Suicide Squad movies. He's never been that guy. And I'm surprised that anyone kind of let him be a leading man thing, because it is something to be the kind of actor or celebrity that can bring people into the box office. It's something that's getting harder and harder to do.
Yeah, his stunts aren't just limited to the big screen. Leto is known for making a splash at premieres. At Tron Ares, he did this gag over Piccadilly Circus where he was like 30 feet up in the air on this like pillar platform thing in a red raincoat. This was just at the premiere, just like a month ago. He climbed part of the Empire State Building when he was promoting 30 Seconds to Mars, his band. And notably, outside of the press, he's gotten a lot of attention for a series of allegations from women who have described disturbing conduct, ranging from flirtatious overtures to episodes of exposure, Hollywood Reporter called it. 9 allegations in total. Obviously, Leto's reps have denied everything, but he just does not have a lot of cultural cachet anymore. It just does not seem like people really want to see what he's got going on. And then him being the lead of Tron Ares just seemed like such a bad fit.
Yeah, we talked about that. First of all, Tron is not a great property to try and make money off of. It's never, all the Tron movies, there's 3 of them, they've all flopped. They kind of had a little bit of a cult following, but not enough to make up for it box office wise. You could have put anyone in here, it wasn't going to be successful. I don't know how you make this property successful when the idea is done better in things like The Matrix. And also, you probably should have just used someone maybe younger, a little bit more Gen Z. Leto was in his 50s, and you could have gotten someone like Jacob Elordi, Harris Dickinson, just younger actors that young people maybe know, and that maybe do a TikTok here and there. He's just not the guy, and I don't think anything really was. And Tron Ares has had a really interesting production thing where Jared Leto really pushed the project and somehow got himself cast in it and as a producer and really pushed for this to be made, and no one cares about it.
Yeah, and it's a shame because like I consider myself, or at least considered myself in the past, a bit of a Tron fan, right? Nerd, video gamer, young male demographic. Like I very much fit into who Legacy was aimed at, but I just didn't connect with Tron Ares the same way. And I think a large part of that is I just thought Leto didn't fit. His character's real emotionally flat in that movie. He's playing it real dialed back. And I know he's supposed to be like a program, but he's also got to be the protagonist and he's got to lead the film, you know, and put it on his back. And it just doesn't work that good. The next time we'll see him is in MGM's Masters of the Universe movie. He's starring opposite Nicholas Galitzin, who's playing He-Man. Leto is going to be Skeletor. He's Skeletor in that movie, which is crazy. It's a high pitched performance, right? You don't see his face traditionally, at least in the cartoon that I remember. But that's what he's doing next on the big screen, and that might be better for him, right? It's a bit dialed back. He's not the lead. In fact, it could be a lot of voice work, so you don't even really see him all that much. Like that might be good, but. As for Leto, man, I think he should stick to music. Like, head back to the island wherever he hangs out with his peeps, and like, you know, make another album, man. Like, he got his Oscar. He won an Oscar for Dallas Buyers Club, right? What 2009? I want to say off the top of my head, 2008. You know, like you got what you wanted. He's worked with great directors. He did a Fincher film. Like, I think it's time to sunset Leto. That's what I think. Outside of some weird indie roles or something.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, every aging star has this conundrum. I mean, this is what the movie Babylon's about: is what do you do when your star starts to fade? He never had one to begin with. I don't know how it became such like these roles. He's never been that guy. Like, name one film that Jared Leto has led that's been a huge box office success. Like, there isn't really one. He's just kind of finagled his way into these roles. But yeah, it's time to sunset this man.
Yeah, big
get a TV show.
Looks great. I don't know. Yeah. TV. Hey, you should do some TV. That's good thinking. I'm a fan of that. Hey, he could light it up in an HBO show. Speaking of HBO, we're gonna talk about these price hikes. Yeah, HBO Max costs a little bit more now. Bummer, right? HBO is hiking prices across all of the subscription plans. It may not be much, but that's how they get you. All right, that's how these bastard capitalists come after you. Where's it going, Andy? Where are the prices headed?
Well, all the streamers are raising prices, or have in recent months. Netflix, Peacock, Apple, Paramount, everyone's, and they're not just raising them a little bit. Everyone's kind of making big jumps because I think they're just kind of in a battle for, well, everyone's raising prices now. This is what because again, streaming has yet to be really profitable. It's basically turned into TV because that's the only, traditional cable where you get paid from subscribers and from advertisers. It's kind of the only way to make it solvent. As far as the numbers, the ad-supported plan is going up $1, the standard plan up $1.50, and the premium plan's up $2. So that's about 12, 16, and 20, I think, for those plans. So they're slowly creeping up. I luckily have HBO through my phone plan, my internet, and so I don't pay for it directly. But man, all the plans are going up.
I think HBO's install base through AT&T, because I think it's AT&T, Time Warner Brothers, right? I don't know, Warner Brothers, Time Warner, whatever. I know a lot of people who have HBO through their internet. Most people I think I know that have HBO usually say, oh yeah, I got it when I signed up for my internet. Yeah, I have it through my internet plan, or I have it through my mobile plan. I think my parents have it that way. That's how I got into it back in the day. I switched internet providers, so I pay for it independently now. But for what it's worth, on the movie side, I can say, and honestly, probably for the TV side too, dude, HBO is my ride or die, I think. Like, HBO is the one I'm not getting rid of. Bolted to the table. I like it too much. God, they got the Turner Classic Movies. They got a ton of Criterions. They got the A24 collection is on HBO. Studio Ghibli is on HBO. The Warner Brothers library is on HBO. And yeah, the HBO Sunday slate of television shows is just so outstanding. We're going to talk about it. We're going to do a little TV corner here later. Stick around. We want to talk about it. We want to talk about Chair Company, but like I Love LA is coming out. And like that's just stuff that's coming, right? That's not even talking about going back and revisiting Sopranos for the ninth time. Like, there's so much good content on that streaming platform. They tell me they're raising the price a couple bucks. I say, okay, I'll pay it. Like, I'm still there. If it was something deep, if it was something big, if they did like a Microsoft Game Pass jump and they were like, it's $15 more expensive this month, I might have to dial it back. But like, I'll dump Netflix, I'll dump Hulu, I'll dump Disney Plus. Like, I'm keeping HBO. How about you?
Same. Like the Titanic, I'm going down with the ship.
Yeah, it's too good.
Yeah, no free ads, but HBO has just some of the best film selection, TV show. I'm currently watching at least 2 shows, possibly a third one coming this Sunday. So HBO is my main streamer for sure, and it's the one that hasn't forced ads on me yet.
I'm like a Republican
Amazon
watching
Prime.
Fox News. You're not getting it from me, all right? Like, it's all I have. All I have in my life is HBO, so I'm keeping it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just
it's
right, and like I said, it's another the way the streamers are. It's another phase of the streaming wars, and it's like, okay, now we realize we have to raise prices to try and make a profit, and we're in that. And now they're seeing who will cut services, who will keep, what people are willing to pay, and a lot of it was like, you just get people hooked and hope that they keep paying when you raise prices. It's largely works.
Yeah. We talked about before the show whether or not we should talk about Warner Brothers putting itself up for sale. We're not there yet because we don't have much to say. So if you're wondering, if you saw that news and you're like, Warner Brothers for sale, we don't know anything either. All right. But as far as Warner is concerned, HBO Max, which they own, is going to cost a couple more dollars. And when we do find out more about that story, we'll report on it. But in the meantime, we got to talk about one more thing here from the box office over the last couple of weeks. Dude, Chainsaw Man is making a lot of money. And I don't know anything about Chainsaw Man. I do a movie podcast, and I'm woefully out of touch with anime. What do you know about this?
Well, this is like when the Demon Slayer movie made a ton of money last month. I was like, what is this movie, and why has it made $500 million?
Yeah.
But yes, Chainsaw Man, the movie, Reze Arc, is a film spin-off, or not a film continuation of the Chainsaw Man anime TV show. That much I know. Hugely popular in Japan. Made 17 million over the weekend. It's already made 110 million worldwide. It released in Japan, I think, a couple of weeks ago, so it's been out a little bit, but it blew everyone else out of the water. All the traditional films not doing quite as well. And again, just like the Demon Slayer movie, there's something about anime, and that's what gets kids into the movies. It gets younger audiences, and that's how they're tapping into. So that's gonna be its whole thing. I don't know anything much about it. That if it's definitely for the fans is what I've heard. If you don't know anything about it, you're probably not gonna be lost going in. Crazy how anime is doing at the box office.
Dude, I know. Like, we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago. Like, it couldn't be more obvious, like, how much like cultural influence is really affecting theatrical performance, right? Theaters got to make money. Like, even though we're getting into the busy season, we're getting into award season, we're just sliding out of summer. Like, when I go to my local multiplex, if I walk down the wrong hallway, well, the right hallway, whichever hallway, usually towards the end, there's a bunch of films I've never heard of. Like from corners of the world I'm not familiar with. And I think that's great. I think that's really great. I think we should have tons of odd features and who knows what and nostalgia screenings playing at the movies. What's surprising is when one comes out and just dominates, right? It reminds me of like covering RRR on the podcast, like a movie that comes out and just makes so much, or Naja too, right? Just comes out and makes so much money. Like, you cannot deny the cultural influence of this piece of art, right? Like, couple-hour film, everybody goes and sees it. It's worth something. So when I see stories about Chainsaw Man and Demon Slayer, I a little bit feel like I'm missing the boat. You know, maybe I'm missing out. Maybe there's something here to get into. But I think it's like you said, like, if I'm not a fan at all of the larger series, I don't think I'm missing anything by not going in there and not seeing it. You know what I mean? I don't think it's any sort of like incredible cinematic achievement. It's effectively just an expansion of storytelling in a medium I'm unfamiliar with, which is anime, which is probably like 60 episodes. And if there's a manga, there's a bunch of those that I haven't read. And like, I can't do the homework. I can't do the homework to get into these. But good God, the people who do the homework turn out. They turn out for these things. Like, we can get these people to go see 2 films a year. They go see a couple of Marvels, right? Maybe a horror movie. But then anime movies are just doing it, just turning it out and making a profit. Like, it's good. I'm glad the industry's moving that way. But I do feel like I've missed the boat a little.
I have heard, like, with the Demon Slayer movie, if you don't know anything about it, you could at least kind of follow along. But with the Chainsaw Man, I've heard if you don't know the series and the characters and stuff, you're going to be completely lost. I think I've seen like one episode. Continuing with the box office, Black Phone 2 came in second with 13 million, 80 million worldwide. That's a big hit for Blumhouse, which has had a rough year. They've had a lot of misses, like not Annabelle 2, Megan 2.0. over the summer. Coming in number 3, Regretting You, which is the new Colleen Hoover adaptation, came in just under 13 million, 22 million worldwide. That's, I think, about as expected. Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, the Bruce Springsteen biopic starring Jeremy Allen White as the boss, came in at 9.1 million, 16.1 million. I've heard this movie's real bad. I've heard, like, if you're a Springsteen head, you're going to hate it. If you're not, you're also going to hate it. Like, it's just, apparently it's all the cliche stuff from Walk Hard done again. I've heard Jeremy Allen White is good, but it's just the movie is just a bit of a dud, and it's underperforming at the box office as well.
Biopics are in such a funny place. I was just watching a video from film YouTuber, video essayist, I guess, Patrick Willems on YouTube, who's talking about whether or not music biopics are like making a comeback, right? How like it seems like Walk Hard demolished everything and nothing's ever gotten on top of it. But then you look at a movie like Better Man, the Robbie Williams biopic, right, which features like a CGI monkey in the role of the lead, right? And it works. Like, it's an illusion that your brain is convinced by, because ultimately, like, you don't really need to see the artist, you just need to see a representation of them. And that movie's commenting on that. Obviously, that's a far cry from Jeremy Allen White, star of The Bear, playing Bruce Springsteen. But yeah, it just seems like, I don't know, like, if you're doing it the same way it's been done for 20 years, you're just kind of dooming yourself at the door, unless you have some incredible gas like Timothée Chalamet doing Bob Dylan in Complete Unknown. Like, that's him playing, singing, and he is also like the star of the moment. Like, Timothée Chalamet doing that is a huge deal. But like, outside of that, it just seems like people aren't really into this stuff. But then you got Bohemian Rhapsody getting Oscars, and Rocket Man, the Elton John biopic, is doing good. Like, I don't think they're a good gamble. I feel like they are a bad bet. If you're a studio making a movie, avoid the music biopics for a couple years. You know, let them rest, because like, I think people are just tired of them.
Well, I think it also depends on the artist, because there is a lot of interest, because people do like Bohemian Rhapsody is the perfect example. People like getting in the theater and hearing the sounds from the songs from the bands they like real loud, and in concert. And apparently, like, the Springsteen movie kind of bypasses a lot of those moments. Like, it just has him quietly writing Born in the USA in the studio. It's not like a big concert performance. So if you get the right property, you can get a hit because people like it. But I mean, Springsteen is for, the demographic was like 50 and over, or 45 and over. It's an older crowd who famously doesn't go to the movies. So I think it can work with the right artist, but you got to get an artist that's going to hit with a large group of people, like that 20 to 40 demographic. So rounding out the top 5, Tron Ares with just under 5 million, 123 million worldwide. That's a huge bomb. They got to keep making those movies though, because they have the light cycle ride at Disney World. So good luck, Disney. They'll do a series.
They'll do a series on Disney Plus. That's what they'll do. 8-episode animated or something. Like, it's fine. They'll work it out.
I wanted to very briefly talk about Shelby Oaks, which came in at number 7, 2.5 million. So this is a small, independently financed film from Chris Stuckman, who's a YouTuber, a YouTube critic turned producer turned writer director. Got crowdfunded this movie, paired with Neon, and got some more funding. Got it made for about $1 million, and it's in the top 10. It's not doing incredible money, but it's kind of a Cinderella story to go from a guy reviewing films like us, and then all the way to directing a movie. So I hope that movie continues to do well. We'll probably try and see it at some point, maybe when it hits streaming. But that rounds out the box office.
Yes, fellow YouTuber Chris Stuckman. We're basically peers, almost the same, really, if you think about it. There's Andy and me, and then there's Chris Stuckman, hand in hand on YouTube, doing movie reviews. He's finally made a film, Shelby Oaks, and I would like to see it. I definitely would. We just took a week off for travel and to get some stuff together on the show side of things, and just haven't gotten around to it. So yeah, we're gonna keep an eye on it. When it comes around, maybe we'll catch like a late screening somewhere, maybe we'll sneak it in, might watch it at home. But like, I definitely want to check out Shelby Oaks at some time, because I'm curious, and I hear it's doing decent. Yeah, like for a small feature for what it is, I know it made its money back, so like, I don't know. Yeah, I'd be down to support it. Plus, if we cover a Chris Stuckman video, I can put Chris Stuckman on the YouTube thumbnail and more people will click it because he's popular on YouTube. Just like us, where you can subscribe to the show and get more off-script content whenever you like. Ring the notification bell, all the usual stuff. We got to get to Roofman. I got to talk about this movie. Anything else in the box office before I jump into it?
I'm ready.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to talking about this because Roofman, I should just start the review. That's the move. Let me just jump into it. The movie is Roofman. So, Roofman is based on the unbelievable true story of Jeffrey Manchester, played by Channing Tatum, an Army veteran and a struggling father who is, at the beginning of the film, robbing a local McDonald's in his Midwest town. He is breaking in through the roof of the McDonald's with a hammer at night, hiding inside of the McDonald's, and then when the staff comes in the morning, he very kindly, very charmingly, while wearing a mask and holding a weapon, invites them all into the cold freezer. He robs the place blind and leaves, and the cops show up and let them out. Everybody says he's such a nice guy. He ends up robbing like 45 something McDonald's before eventually effectively getting caught. Upon going to jail, Jeffrey escapes. He escapes jail and then manages to hide and hole up in a Toys R Us by living in the rafters and in a kind of small display during the hours of open while everybody's there. He is hiding and sleeping, and then when it closes, he is walking around. He's taking control of the security cameras. He's eating the candy, and he's wearing goofy clothes from inside the store because that's where he's at. He's hiding out for just a little while one of his buddies, one of his old Army friends, played by Lakeith Stanfield, can make passports, a fake passport, and get him to another part of the country or out of the country entirely, and he can escape and get out of here, right? But while watching security cameras and hiding, he kind of gets to know this employee, Lee, played by Kirsten Dunst, who is a single mom with just a couple of kids who's struggling to connect with her manager there. And upon hearing that she's doing a toy drive at a local church, Jeffrey decides to break out effectively, leave the Toys R Us, take a bunch of stolen toys there. He ends up meeting her. They strike up and have a conversation. This develops into a relationship. And then suddenly, Jeffrey is living two lives. Right? He is a man who is kind of getting to know Lee and meeting her kids. And then also this guy who is very much on the run and has a whole lot of baggage and is a wanted criminal. The movie is Roofman. It's just a couple hours long. And I'm really pleased to say that I think I liked it more than I had heard. I remember early festival impressions were not very nice. People thought this was bland and doesn't really work. And I think it works, but it's got kind of a crucial problem at the center of it that I'm looking forward to talking about. Andy, what did you think of Roofman?
So I like parts of it. Some of this works, and then some of it does. I think the first half is the most fun. We see Jeff Katzenberg, Channing Tatum's character, robbing the McDonald's. He's known as being this really nice guy. Like, he gives his coat to the McDonald's guy when he puts him in the freezer, so he's not cold. And he ends up breaking into this McDonald's, and we get this very almost Ocean's 11-esque escape from the prison, and then how he holds up in the McDonald's and kind of stows away for months on end, and then eventually meets Kirsten Dunst's character, joins this church, becomes a father figure, all while still maintaining his cover. And he kind of has a plan to get out. The second half really kind of drags for me. It's a little bit too long. It meanders. And then kind of the messaging of this film is just all over the place because it asks us to sympathize with someone who's very clearly a criminal and essentially engaging in very violent crime, but he still wants us to be like, oh, but he's a nice guy. Like, kind of feel for him. It's a strange mix of what are we supposed to feel?
Yeah, Tatum is good, and Kirsten Dunst is really good in this movie, actually. It's got a decent supporting cast around it. Peter Dinklage plays a manager at the Toys R Us. Lakeith Stanfield is the Army friend. Juno Temple is the Army friend's girlfriend, who's barely in the movie. Ben Mendelsohn is in here as a local pastor, and all of these are based on very real influences, right? This is based on a true story film. The movie ends with the text at the end that tells you what happened, and you get some footage in the credits of real people that were involved, which is all very sincere and neat because it seems to be sincerely saying that this guy is not really a bad guy. I think they're trying to frame it a bit like Leonardo DiCaprio's character in Catch Me If You Can, right? Like Frank Abagnale Jr., who's like kind of a good dude, and he's smart. He's just kind of ended up in this bad situation. But like Roofman also, in a very complicated fashion, I think is more about evading consequences, right? And how when you run away from a problem, you just make more problems. And it doesn't matter like how much you try to evade and avoid like losing everything. Like when you escape responsibility, like you lose so much. And that's opening in the film, right? Like our first act, Jeffrey is robbing McDonald's and he's building a life for his family, which he has. I left that out of the summary in the open, but he has a family at the beginning of this movie. He has 2 or 3 children, one daughter who he kind of connects with very specifically, and a wife who he does not really get along with. She's painted very poorly in this film. And when they're at a birthday party for the daughter, like, and the cops come bursting in, like a scene out of, I don't know, Blow or something, like, and he goes running down the street. It's very funny and looks very goofy. But he very much like has a real family and a real daughter that he abandons in Act 1. Like he gives up on them. Like he goes to have a relationship with them and it doesn't really work. He gets replaced by this other kind of father figure who you never really see. Then he gets to Toys R Us, and that's when the movie kind of settles into its place, and we figure out where we're at. And walking around Toys R Us is a lot of fun, but then he starts creeping on Lee and these other people there, and then he strikes up a relationship with her and gives a fake name and lies about who he is and lies about what he's doing there. And it's kind of gross, and you're like, okay, hold on, wait a second. This is not a good man. Like this guy is not a good guy, and the movie seems very pointed at drawing him as a good guy. And that I think is kind of the fatal flaw.
Right. It's like the family, his first family, like his wife is portrayed as this nagging person, and you know they got a stepdad that's moving in, and you know moving into the family, and who is that man? Again, the family is kind of painted as the bad guys, and I was like, this is a terrible person. He did a really interesting thing by escaping prison multiple times, living out of this Toys R Us, and it shows one of the things, he was very intelligent, but he was also a moron. Like he knew to shut off the CCTV cameras, so like Toys R Us was never recording, and so they never got any footage of him for the longest time. That's how he was able to evade. He's able to utilize like he steals from Toys R Us and then pawns all these video games, and that's how he gets cash, and then he can actually afford real things. But it's like these are all terrible things. Like, why are we painting this person as you can have an anti-hero, like you could still have him be the main character, but again, the film strangely wants us to sympathize with them, and I really don't think we should be.
Yeah, and this is why I think Act 2 is where the film hits the brakes and can't get back up off its feet, because as he's developing this relationship, he goes to this church. He meets Ben Mendelsohn, who's the pastor there, who's like singing, dancing, Southern pastor, British Ben Mendelsohn. Very strange. I guess him and Derek Cianfrance must be cool. And he gets to know Lee, and they start a relationship. He like goes to meet her kids. There, he teaches one of them how to drive. They have sex, and I'm just like, she doesn't know who he is. Like, this is not good. This is gross and bad. Like this is bad. And so the whole time you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. You know this all has to come crashing down the whole time. And so yeah, there's about a 45-minute stretch of the movie where you're kind of just checking your watch. You're like, hey, when is this all going to resolve? When is this primary conflict? Is he going to get back to his family? Is he going to make up with the daughter? Is any of that going to happen? And like, I guess that can make for tension, but you're also just waiting for it to happen. And the character's waiting too. He ends up waiting nearly 6 months for his passport friend to come back from a stint in Iraq. He redeploys. So he ends up like just checking the calendar, just scratching off days over and over and again. And that's where in the movie is like, okay, all right, we get it. Let's move it along. Bit of a pacing issue that way.
Yeah, I think somewhere that the movie, I think, does succeed is in its performances. Channing Tatum is good as this like charming con man. Kirsten Dunst doing some great work. There's some Oscar talk for supporting actress for her for this film. There's also a number of fun cameos that just pop out of nowhere. Again, Lakeith Stanfield, Juno Temple, oh, now I can't think of it. Ben Mendelsohn
Peter Dinklage. Yeah.
as a church pastor. Yeah, Lakeith Stanfield, always a pleasure on screen. Is always doing the best work. He plays an old army buddy who has a side hustle making fake passports and other paperwork, and they're working together to maybe get him out of town. But then there's this weird the plot with his family, and he's like wants to be accepted by the kid's daughter. Again, it's very Mrs. Doubtfire. That's what I was saying. I was in that movie again. Robin Williams' character is painted as the good guy, and Sally Field is like the mean mom. And it's like, no, it's actually the opposite. But Zach, what do you think of the performances?
I'm with you. Tatum is very good. Even though he does not fit the role very good. Like they joke about his him having to go to the dentist because he's been eating candy. He's been eating peanut M&Ms at the toy store by the truckload that he's been stealing. But then he's like showering in the local Toys R Us sink, and he's ripped and has a six-pack, and it's like, come on. Like, who are we watching here? Are we watching Jeffrey Manchester? Or are we watching Channing Tatum? But regardless, Tatum's a delight. Like, he goes to like a singles function at one point. He's like walking around in these big goofy clothes. Like, he's funny. He's engaging. Like, the guy's got talent. Like, there's a reason he's been in this long. We were just ragging on Jared Leto in the opening news segment. Like, Tatum is not in that space. Like, my man can carry a movie. He's solid. Dunst is great. Dunst is really great. It's very understated. She's just playing this Midwest mom, but it's really refreshing to watch Dunst not playing a character who's got some like secret weird freak side or something. She's not in a Lars von Trier feature or anything here. Like, she's just playing this like very down to earth mom who sings in the kids choir, like single mother who's struggling. A lot of the side performances are great. I'm with you. I love Stanfield. He's a delight. And I guess I like the way this movie's put together. Like, the set design's a lot of fun. Toys R Us is a great setting to set an odd sort of feature like this, because you get so many opportunities for Tatum to be dressed in something funny, wearing like a Naruto hoodie or like Sonic the Hedgehog sweatpants, and like goofing off in the toy store. Like, that's all a really good time. Like, that all is fantastic. But outside of that, it feels dry, and I think you end up kind of checking your watch and waiting for things to wrap up, because the shoe has to dry. Like, he cannot truly change. He has evaded all of his problems, and the crimes continue to escalate, by the way. Like, there's other things that happen in Act 3 that are even worse. Like, it's very strange, and it's very strange that the movie just seems to sympathize with him so much.
Right. The other thing that's jarring, I think this film is shot well, and it's shot in that very indie style that Cianfrance is known for. His other films are much more serious, like Blue Valentine is kind of heartbreaking. The Place Beyond the Pines with Ryan Gosling. That's like a 2.5 hour film in big sections. Gosling is only in like the first third. Bradley Cooper shows up at one point. That's a very like deep and like challenging film to get through. And this is much more lighthearted, and there's also some seriousness under it. It's more definitely for more mainstream audiences, I think, because the premise is so goofy and funny.
Yeah, it feels like a good movie like your parents would enjoy, right? Like they'd throw on and be like, this feels like a movie from 15 years ago that's just like a mid-budget kind of drama comedy that comes out, in the summer, and you just go see it, and it's out for a few weeks, and then it comes to streaming, right? You see the DVD at Walmart. And like, in that way, I think Roofman accomplishes what it's setting out to do. But also it's just a little dry, right? In that same way, it's lacking a little bit of sauce, needs a little bit of something. And I know Cianfrance has not done a theatrical project in years. The last real credit he's shot is a show called I Know This Much Is True on HBO. It was 6 episodes starring Mark Ruffalo in 2020. So that was 5 years ago. Other than that, he's done some music video stuff, and notably was a producer on Sound of Metal, which is a really cool flick that we covered here on the podcast just a couple years ago. Hopefully he does more, right? Like, I think this is a decent entry back in, like, to making movies again. He took a long break. I hope he gets back into it. But just a different script, I think. Something a little bit more, I don't want to say adventurous, but like a little bit more maybe virtuous. Like a little more straight arrow in what it's trying to tell, because I kind of walked out like, who am I rooting for here? Like, I just was not convinced this guy is like a good guy, and that seems to really be what they're hammering home. Like, he's a good guy who's just in a bad situation. And it's like, dude, he abandoned his family. Like, he commits arson. Like, I don't know, man. Like, he robbed a bunch of places. Like, I don't know. I guess I wasn't spellbound by Roofman. Any other
Yeah,
thoughts, recommendations?
I would love to see Cianfrance continuing to make movies. I think he is an interesting filmmaker. He's made two pretty pretty good films in the past. So they can't all be hits, but I would love to see him continue to work.
Yeah, me too. Andy, would you recommend Roofman?
I'd say save it for streaming. The first half is pretty fun and exciting with him figuring out how to live inside this Toys R Us and take on a second family. It goes on a little bit too long. It starts to meander in the second half. The performances are pretty strong. Channing Tatum, a bunch of cameos are a lot of fun. Kirsten Dunst is good. A little long, but recommended for streaming.
Yeah, I think it's fine to watch at home. It's not particularly cinematic. You're definitely not losing anything by not going to see it. And there's a lot of cool stuff out right now. So if I was walking to the theater and had money and didn't know what I was going to go see, I might skip Roofman. But it is good. Yeah, it's a great movie to take your mom to. Channing Tatum's a delight. Kirsten Dunst's a lot of fun. Like, solid. It's a good movie, but it's not quite a great one. And that's Roofman. But I hope they make more. Shoot, I hope they make more. Also very curious. Well, I don't want to talk. I can't talk about the end of the movie. We don't do spoilers on this podcast. We got to move on. We have something very exciting to talk about. It seems like it might be a drag, but I swear we're going to make this awesome. Been thinking about this a lot. Andy, what do we call this segment?
It's time for the death of cinema.
So
we're going to be getting into.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying we're going to be getting into this article about Kevin Costner that came out recently in the Hollywood Reporter, how Kevin Costner lost Hollywood. Zach's going to kind of give us some backstory, but this also relates to Jared Leto in a lot of ways because there's some similarities between these two people kind of losing the sauce. Although at least Costner had it at one point. But Zach, take us there.
Yeah, on-set brawls, courtroom battles, epic bombs. While the world's most bankable cowboys suddenly shooting blanks. Hollywood Reporter put out this incredible expose on Kevin Costner just last week. Put him on the cover of the magazine, all right? And apparently he has been mighty pissed about this thing. He really doesn't like it. But I read it, all right? It was online. I took a look at it. And I'm going to be honest, we've been doing this podcast a while. It's rare that something comes out and has such a complete picture of where such a talent is. Like Kevin Costner, like him or not, has done a lot to influence where Hollywood is today. He's created some incredible work, both in front of the camera and behind it. I think it's worth talking about why this guy, how he got to where he is now, and then whether or not there's a path out of it. Mostly because he's already put out Horizon, the first chapter, right? He's got 3 chapters to go. The second one's already shot. 3 and 4 up in the air. He can't find financing. God, just last week we were talking about him going to Saudi Arabia to look for financing for his epic Western films. You know what I mean? Like, it's just up in the air. So what I want to start with is how we got here, right? If you're listening to this, you're probably familiar with who Kevin Costner is. If you're watching on YouTube, we got some footage playing, found a montage. But let me just get into kind of his career and how he's gotten here. This all really goes back to 1990, all right, when Kevin Costner is making Dances with Wolves. You probably heard of this movie. You might have even seen this movie. But when it was getting made, everybody thought Dances with Wolves was going to be a huge bomb. Nobody thought it was going to work. It was like Steven Spielberg shooting Jaws, right, out on the coast. Everybody thought it wasn't going to work. Costner is directing and starring in it. It seems like it's not going to work. It comes out and makes $454 million. Insane hit and lights a fire under Kevin Costner's career, both as an actor and as a director. From that, he makes Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, which doesn't quite make $454 million, but makes like $350. He makes JFK with Oliver Stone. He's not directing, but he's starring. He makes The Bodyguard with Whitney Houston, which makes $400 million worldwide. Suddenly, it's 1993. He's up there with like Tom Cruise, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bruce Willis. Kevin Costner is one of the biggest stars in the world. Then Waterworld comes out in 95. Post-apocalyptic action film.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, dude, Waterworld's bad. It's funny mentioning Spielberg at the top with Jaws and how it seemed like that wasn't going to work. And then Jaws came out, was a huge hit for Spielberg, just like Dances with Wolves was for Costner. Costner wanted to shoot on open water. That was a big thing of that movie. And Spielberg said, please don't. It won't work. We did Jaws on open water. It's a huge mess. Don't do it. Costner said, I'm doing it anyway. The budget gets ballooned. It ends up costing like $200 million of shooting off the coast of Hawaii in 94. It comes out, it's a huge bomb. It's a huge bomb. All right. 2 years later, he releases another movie, The Postman, another post-apocalyptic adventure film starring him. It's also a bomb. It came out the same day as Titanic. What are you going to do? So Waterworld kills his career. Postman kills it twice. From there, he gets back into acting, right? He does The Guardian. He does Swing Vote, Draft Day. All right. He does a little bit of directing. Everything quiets down for Costner until 2016. Okay, when he's in this little movie called Hidden Figures, right? He plays this NASA scientist, and he's good. He's good in Hidden Figures, right? And people like him, and it's like, hey, where's Costner been, right? We haven't seen him in a little while. Then he gets into Yellowstone with Taylor Sheridan, right? And that's where his television career really takes off. He's a big deal in Yellowstone. I feel like that's a lot. Should I pivot to you, Andy, or should I talk through that as well? Because I know things kind of fell off right around here.
Right. So I'll pick this up here. So we have this long history of Kevin Costner being, for a short period in the 90s, just being the guy, about 7 to 8 years, even starting in the late 80s with things like Field of Dreams, The Untouchables. I mean, he was just the definition of a big star. In the early 2020s, about 5 years ago, we get the show Yellowstone, which he begins to be, he's a big hit on, and he's the big draw. Of course, he's the big movie star doing TV, which is much more common now. The show is a hit, and it raises the career of several smaller actors. Eventually, Costner ends up walking away from it because he wants to do Horizon. And what is Horizon? We talked about this on the show last year, but it's this passion project that he's had for decades. This 4-film epic that he has in mind to do. He makes the first 2, he releases the first one, and it's a bomb. It's a huge bomb. $100 million film. Makes like $10 million at the box office. It's the sequel, part 2, was supposed to come out just 2 months later. Warner Brothers pulls it from distribution, says we got to figure out something before we go any farther. He played it at Cannes. It was not well received there. He got a big standing ovation, but they always do for when the stars are there. They're not gonna short you on the standing ovation.
Yeah.
The film is fine. We have reviewed it. It's 3 hours long. It's this big epic, and it's just part 1. It's all set up. Nothing really resolves, but he's hoping to make a couple more of these, but he can't get financing. Again, the first film's a dud. Everyone said, "Hey, don't make this, man." Like it's just not going to work. But he was like, "No, I'm Kevin Costner. I did Dances with Wolves 35 years ago." And the thing about Hollywood, it's very much what have you done for me lately kind of town and kind of business. And what have you done in the last 2, 5 years, 10 years for us? Because if you like citing things from the late 1900s is crazy to me, but it worked to get a little bit of that financing. But now he can't get any more of these films made. Warner Brothers is holding on to the second one. We saw the trailer for it at the end of the first film. And that has led to a number of problems. He can't get money, and he also is in a number of financial and legal troubles because of this. He's been sued for non-payment for the work that people have done on these films. There's an actress suing him for there was this, I don't know the best way to frame this, but it was like there was a sex scene that turned into a sexual assault scene without her consent. She's suing. Everyone's suing him. And the other thing, he's put up a lot of his own money. He took out a second mortgage on a property. And so this has really hurt his brand. And he's just kind of stubborn because he's just like, no, I did Dances with Wolves, but we can make this happen. But that's where we are now. But it all starts with Yellowstone, which initially was like a golden goose for him, but then he kind of lost his way. So Zach, take us through that.
Yeah, he was getting upwards of like $1.5 million per episode of Yellowstone. So he was looking at about $10 million a season. And originally he had been looking into about 6 seasons, I think, was where that arc was kind of going. But yeah, like right around, I think season 3, 4, they say he gets really difficult on set, right? Hollywood Reporter opens with this expose of him having this big argument during a scene with Wes Bentley, who's in the show. A couple other actresses are on set, and it's going really poorly. He's like, I want to say it this way. I think my character would do this. And Bentley's like, Where it's expensive to set all this up, man. The lights are on, the cameras are rolling. Let's shoot. Stop. You know, we're not workshopping this. You're not in the director chair. You're acting. Like, that's what you're doing here. You're getting the check. Come season 5, he wants his whole check up front. All 10 million. He wants it up front, and he wants less time on set, and he wants it so he can put it directly into Horizon. And that's where things go wrong, right? That's where Paramount says, we're not doing it. Taylor Sheridan's sick of him. He doesn't want to deal with it anymore. So they say no, and they kill him off. And that's it. That's how his Yellowstone career comes to an end, right?
Which is hilarious.
The fans hate it. Paramount hates it. I would imagine Costner doesn't like it very much, but like you said, he has a history of being difficult on set. In 93, he gets in arguments with Clint Eastwood on the set of A Perfect World, which is Eastwood's film. He clashes with Kurt Russell on the set of 3,000 Miles to Graceland over creative differences. The biggest notable thing in his career, I think, as far as being difficult to work with goes, he sued his longtime producing partner, Jim Wilson, who's credited on 8 of his films. All right. Dances with Wolves. Jim Wilson works on The Bodyguard, Wyatt Earp, Message in a Bottle. Costner sued him for $15 million in 2021 over dispute involving their company that he and Wilson founded in the 90s. That is like his longtime ride or die buddy. Costner takes him to court, sues him for $15 million. Like, maybe there's more to it than I know. But, like, one thing's for sure, Hollywood doesn't forget. And you're right, it's a what have we done for me lately kind of place. And it just seems like Costner has burned so many bridges, and he got so much money to make Horizon 1 and 2. 1 did not work. They have stalled out on 2. What do they even do now? I guess put out trailers for it, and they probably change the subtitle, I think, for Horizon Chapter 2. Make it Horizon... I don't know.
Subtitle.
Yeah, The Reckoning, something. Yeah, like call it anything.
American Dream, whatever.
Yeah, sure. An American Dream. That'd be great. That's bad. Whatever. An American Tale. Fievel Goes West. You can call it whatever. Like, but turn it into television. Do something to get Horizon Chapter 2 out, and maybe you can drum up some interest for Chapters 3 and 4, because like where it's at right now, it just seems like it's dead in the water, and it feels like his career is trailing behind it. And I don't know how he gets out of it.
It's real interesting because we talked a lot about the death of the movie star. This is something that Hollywood's been talking about for the last 10 years, where the concept, especially with things like superhero films, where people care more about the IP than they do the actor playing them. We just have less and less of these figures. You know, we have very few young film stars. Like Timothée Chalamet is an excellent example, but it's kind of a dying occupation in a lot of ways. And when it's 1990 and you're pulling in, what's the equivalent of $800 million films, then yeah, you can kind of be a jerk and you can be whoever you want on set. But now it's not the time. And he thought he was the draw for Yellowstone, and he probably was for a while, but then he left and the show went on. The spinoffs, the article says that the 1883 spinoff show, was a huge success, and Costner kind of took it personally. He's like, no, I'm going to show them. I'm going to bring my Yellowstone audience over to Horizon. No one saw it. It's like, it didn't travel. And again, it reminds me of other figures like Jared Leto or like Dwayne Johnson, who was also thrown his weight around the last few years. He was trying to, The Rock was famously trying to take over DC Studios, and he played Black Adam, and then that movie flopped, and he's no longer King Midas of the box office, and people told him to go pound pavement. And so this has started to happen with Kevin Costner as well. He's in a real predicament because, again, he went to Saudi Arabia looking for Saudi Arabian blood money to help finance his film.
Dude.
And they said I think they were going to put some money on the table, but he ultimately left with nothing. Doesn't have money for the other two, can't get the second film out, being sued into oblivion. So I'm not sure where he goes from here, other than, I don't know, not be difficult to work with, leverage your brand better. Who knows?
Yeah, I think there's value in turning Yellowstone into television. Like, he's already got a few hours made, a lot of which people haven't seen because the buy-in's too big. All right. Imagine opening Netflix and like the opening homepage, like they feature all their stuff, is Horizon. Episodes 1 and 2 available, episode 3 next Friday, and then chapter 2 to come in like a month or something. Like, I think that builds groundswell. I think that builds conversation. I think a lot of the Yellowstone and 1883 audience would probably transfer over to that streaming model, right? Maybe an hour a piece. And with the 2 chapters you've already shot, you got 6 hours of content. You can cut trailers, you can cut TikToks, reels, like... I think that's the move. And I know he wants it to be theatrical because that was a big part of him getting funding in the first place. Like, I see that. But I just think you've waited too long. I think it's been too long between chapters 1 and 2. And I think the people who saw chapter 1 don't remember it, except that it was kind of a snooze fest. And I think the people that didn't see it are going to feel like they need to do the homework to go into chapter 2. And if they do, God forbid, they get the snooze fest. Like, so I don't know. I just think it's in a weird place. I think streaming is in a great place right now. Like, man needs to lean in, right? And also probably call up Paramount and like see if you could get a guest spot or something on one of their
go back as a ghost, force ghost on Yellowstone.
He'll be in the Yellowstone movie in a couple flashback scenes or something, telling everybody how they should be acting. I guess, but it's a bummer. Yeah, like I think there's a time when Costner is as big as Tom Cruise and Arnold Schwarzenegger, almost as big. Right. At least if not like in front of the camera for his abilities behind the camera as well. But he's just kind of fallen real far. And it seemed like he was going to get this big boost. And now he's tumbled again. And is he 70, I think? Like, I don't know how many more Costner films we get, you know? So, yeah, that's Kevin Costner. That's the write-up. Hollywood Reporter put that out. We figured it was worth talking about here. Yeah, it's a great article worth reading. We'll probably link it in the description. Any other thoughts on this, Andy? We should probably move on.
Yeah, I was just going to mention the smart move is to sell Horizon Part 2, sell it to Netflix. Sell it to them. Yeah. They'll buy it for, pennies on the dollar, but that's still money you can use to pay back your loan sharks and make it into a series. You could do parts 1 and 2 is one season. You get them to finance 3 and 4 for probably a fraction of the budget, but at least you get your thing made, you get paid. Costner has to think about streaming. He's got to think like that's where a lot of the power and money is these days. You got to work with them. Yeah,
I agree. We should talk about streaming. Perfect transition into what do we call this segment?
It's time for the TV corner.
Yeah, TV corner.
We're doing just a brief roundup of some TV that came out. Welcome to Derry. It prequel series just premiered this past Sunday on HBO Max. I watched it. Zach hasn't, so I'll speak very generally. It takes place in 1962, 27 years before the film. That's important because the creature comes out every 27 years, and so that's how these periods. They have a plan to do 3 seasons, and each one is going to be in a different time period. So it'll be in the 30s, and then the 1910s before that. Great first episode. We meet a small group of kids, similar to it. We meet a small group of kids. One of their friends has disappeared. They go on the hunt to see what's going on. There's also something going on with the military as well. They seem to maybe be aware of something that has crash landed in the area. We're not entirely sure. But again, we get some of the manifestations of it. Feeds on fear, feeds on your insecurities, these sorts of things. We have a great cast of kids. The episode is wild. First 10 minutes, cute, explosive. I don't want to say the thing is full of surprises. I really enjoyed it. It's proper horror. It's scary. It's really gory in some places. I was like, this is a lot for TV. I was like, my God. So highly recommend for horror fans and for fans of Stephen King's It and those properties. The second episode is actually going to premiere this Friday on Halloween, so it's premiering a couple of days early. So Derry heads, watch that.
Just a couple quick questions. First off, how many episodes the first season?
I think it's going to be 8.
Okay. All right. Manageable for HBO. Secondly, like I know a big part of it, chapter 1 and 2, for context, I've not read the book. I don't know a lot about it outside of the movies. But I know there's a bit of a time jump, like you said, 27 years. Any of that in the show currently, or is like Stranger Things, we're all locked into the time period where we're at?
I think this season is going to be all in 1962. And then season 2 would be in 33, sometime in the 30s, and then the third, if they get a third. I think it's been greenlit for at least a second season so far.
I think one of the really the big problem I think with those two movies, It Part 1 and Part 2, is just the tonal shift in time, right? Like jumping from the young cast to the new cast and kind of have an idea of what we're getting into. The sequel has to kind of hold up the weight of the former. And I think for a lot of folks, the Stranger Things nature of the first film like really paid off, right? The kids are a bit more curious and the scares work a little bit more. And once you get to adults, it's a little tighter. What do you think about that in regards to those films? And how do you think this show might evolve on that or maybe like avoid that problem?
It's interesting to go backwards. I think it's easier to go backwards than forwards because you see the children, the child version. You're with a group of children, and I think we'll probably be with a group of children in each time period. At the end of the episode is they do a preview for the whole season. You know, this season on Welcome to Derry, and there's a lot of scary stuff. And again, Stephen King stuff is all. He was kind of one of the originators of the cinematic universe, where all his properties, his book properties, are more or less taking place in the same world and are related. And you see nods to other Stephen King properties. So I think it's working. I think there's a lot of Easter eggs for people who have read the book. I have not, but that's what I've heard.
Yeah. Well, one more question for you, and if it's a spoiler, I guess don't reveal it. Maybe this is just a no comment sort of answer. But I had read during production they didn't want to overuse Pennywise, right? I think they had Bill Skarsgård back for the show. Do you see him in episode 1, or is it like a nice?
You see him in the like the preview that they do at the end of the episode of this season on. He's in like the trailer stuff, but
I was so interested with the way Noah Hawley's Alien Earth put the alien in the first episode. Within like 3 minutes, you get a full shot of a xenomorph. Like they very much are like, you're an adult, you know what a xenomorph looks like. We know what a xenomorph looks like. So I guess I figured for the It show, how forward are they with that? Because I know the film like opens with a Pennywise scene, right? It's him in the gutter. Like you get a pretty good look at him right up front. So yeah,
I think the plan is less is more in this season, from what I've kind of heard.
Let's talk about the chair company. We're going to talk about this show. You turned me on to this. I kind of knew it was coming, but please bring people in a little bit.
So the Chair Company is the latest Tim Robinson comedy. He plays an executive or just a guy who works at an office. He's giving a presentation one day, and he sits down from his speech, and his chair just breaks and collapses. Everyone laughs at him. He's a big joke, and he's mad. And like all Tim Robinson properties, they kind of focus on him hyperfixating on a property and having an epic crash out. And that's kind of what's happening here. He gets obsessed with, what is this company? Where does this chair come from? And he starts investigating, like, who makes this chair? And he doesn't really get a lot of answers. No one answers the phone or the email. He starts digging, looking for records. And it looks like there may actually be some sort of conspiracy theory or conspiracy behind this company as he gets deeper and deeper. In the meantime, he's trying to do his job of being working at this real estate development place, and they're trying to get this big property. So there's a lot of office type gags, and I said this before, it's inspired by The Office, but not in the way you think, because he's not bad at his job. He's very good at his job, but he's very distracted from it by this chair conspiracy. He also has issues at home. He's got a lovely wife and a kid, but there's still everything is second to his obsession with finding out who the chair company is.
Right. Ron Trosper just cannot resist like looking a little bit deeper. Like there has to be more meaning. I have seen 2 episodes of The Chair Company. I haven't watched episode 3 yet, but I really enjoyed them. I'm a big fan of Tim Robinson's work. I Think You Should Leave. I've watched a bunch of Detroiters. We covered Friendship, his last feature film on the podcast. And Friendship was directed by Andrew DeYoung, who I do not know. So it felt a little bit different than his show. I Think You Should Leave on Netflix, which there's 3 seasons and they're working on season 4 right now. But I Think You Should Leave is written by Robinson and his longtime co-writing partner, Zach Kanan. So interestingly, The Chair Company is a unique property because it seems to bring everybody together. Chair Company is written by I Think You Should Leave writers, Robinson and Kanan, but it's directed by Andrew DeYoung from Friendship. And I don't know how exactly they know each other. As far as I know, Andrew's a new talent to my understanding of these guys. But they really have something special because The Chair Company feels a lot like those other shows. It's a little bit different because it's linear, but like there are so many workplace gags in I Think You Should Leave, and workplace sketches, and examples of like characters feeling foolish in front of the people they work with at the office. Like there's a ton. Detroiters is all about work. Like it's literally two guys who own an advertising company in Detroit that is essentially failing, and they're trying desperately to figure out how to make it work. And they have coworkers and they have an office there. Like Friendship is about male loneliness, and that is a guy at work who ends up having a job and losing it, partially due to what happens in that film. So seeing our man here, Robinson, like at work being this kind of goofball guy who's relatively well-meaning, but also is just this absurdist like version of a normal man, is just real funny. And God, he just seems to slide so perfectly into this role, looking for a chair company that, like, just like any company on Amazon, has like a weird name that you've like never heard of, and you're like, what Tekka, what brand is this? And then you go to call the number and it goes nowhere. Like, this silly, meaningless mystery manages to have something compelling, like for comedy to wrap around in the chair company. And like each episode, at least of the couple I've seen, him getting a little bit further and further into where it's going, and like finding that there's just more string to keep pulling. Like you think he's going to run out. He's going to call the number and it's going to be dead. No, there's somebody there who says, stop calling about the chair company, and then hangs up the phone. And he gets a weird text from somebody who took a photo of him in a bush. Like, just odd things keep happening to Ron Trosper. And the poor people in his life are just like oblivious to all of it. Like he's just, sorry. I really like it. I really like the show.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I laugh out loud every episode. There's just 3 episodes out. And the first 10 minutes, I was bursting out laughing. Like, it's just some good stuff, good absurdist comedy. And it's nice that it is multifaceted, because if it were just an office comedy, it would kind of be too much of that. And it's nice that there's balance in the show. But really enjoying that. It's only half hour. Sundays, highly recommend.
Very funny. Yeah, absolutely worth watching.
Really quickly wanted to, just a heads up, a new comedy show, I Love LA, also premieres this Sunday. This is Rachel Sennett's new romantic comedy show in the vein of Sex and the City and Girls. It takes place in LA, obviously, but it's with young Gen Z girls and guys navigating relationships today in LA. I'm super excited for this. Big fan of Rachel Sennett and her work. She's very funny online. So that starts this Sunday. We'll be back again next week with a wrap. I'll probably watch it. It's, again, only a half-hour show as well.
Yeah, and I do want to know, you put this on the outline, what's going on with Gen V? You're traditionally a boys fan. You've covered her on the show in the past. You seem to be dropping off a little bit. Catch people up.
Right. So Gen V, I stopped watching only because I was overwhelmed with TV. They released the first 3 episodes of the season on one day, and then subsequent episodes after that. So it was just, I was immediately behind after the first week, and then I was 2 episodes behind, and I was 3. Now I'm completely haven't seen it. I do want to catch up with it because I'm a fan of the boys universe, and the spinoff has been good. The first season of Gen V was very good. I've heard the second season is pretty good as well. Just not a lot of people are watching it, but I do want to catch up with it at some point.
I know Amazon spent a bunch of money getting Eric Kripke over and growing the universe of the boys and bringing in like old characters or old cast and actors from his show Supernatural and getting people excited about it. But yeah, it just seems like it's been a minute since I felt any real buzz for it. And I think people are much more looking forward to the main show, The Boys, than like where Gen V's at now. I don't get a lot of algo content for it. I don't see a lot of memes, but like, I don't know. Yeah, I think of the people I know that watch it, like you, they seem to just kind of be less enthusiastic about it. So it's okay. Hey, a couple episodes of a spinoff show is pretty good nowadays. Usually Netflix kills a show before the first season's even done. So I think they're in a good place. Is it just one more season of The Boys, right? The next one's the last one, I think.
Yeah. Season 5 will be out this summer.
Oh boy. All right. And that's going
summer
to be
26th.
Yeah. Man, what a ride. We're going to have to cover that, I think, when it comes out. Any other thoughts on TV Corner?
I mean, just a lot of TV out right now. Welcome to Dairies. We've got going to be the big fall season for me, and probably Night of the Seven Kingdoms in January. The Chair Company is going to be hilarious. I'm definitely going to watch that show every week, and then I'll see what Rachel Sennett has for us.
This episode is so long. I'm realizing it's probably due to that Kevin Costner bit that I really wanted to do, but we should get into it. We got one more movie to talk about. It's fine. I think people watch us on YouTube anyway. Andy's going to be taking the summer on this one. So Andy, please take it away.
A House of Dynamite. So this is the latest film from Oscar-winning director Kathryn Bigelow, who won Best Director and Picture for The Hurt Locker in 2009. Also famously brought us Zero Dark 30 about the hunt and capture of Osama bin Laden, which was kind of a seminal film of the early the 2010s. And she brings us A House of Dynamite, the story of which it's a military political thriller, and a missile launch has been detected in the North American hemisphere. At first, they don't know if it's real. They think it could be a test, that it could be a fluke, could be a machine not acting right. It's eventually confirmed that it is in fact a real nuclear launch. Some country unknown, because they don't know where it was launched from, because it's been covered up basically. They don't know, but they know a nuclear missile is headed for the United States. They're not exactly sure where, but it is real. It is coming. And the movie show goes through the real life protocols of what happens in the Situation Room, in the White House, and these other places, and how little time there is to act. There's roughly 20 minutes from the launch of something like that until it makes impact, and that small amount of window is the amount of time people have to try and come together and make decisions about how to act, how to respond, if you're going to respond at all. Not Kathryn Bigelow. Rebecca Ferguson takes the lead in the first third of the movie. The movie's in 3 parts, and it kind of tells the story from different perspectives. She's in the Situation Room, and all this stuff looks really accurate. There's screens all over the way, lots of security. She's the first one to get where this is detected from a radar station with where Anthony Ramos's character is strangely at. So then they have to react and say, okay, get the president on the line, get the Secretary of Defense, get these people. Well, this person's not out of commission. We'll get his deputy. So there are lots of video calls basically. And what do we do? And how do people react? And the story is told in, again, different, almost people saying Rashomon as it's in 3 different perspectives. You get kind of the military perspective, the Situation Room, and then ultimately the president, the POTUS perspective as well. It's a thriller. Lots to talk about. Zach, what do you think?
So I think a lot of people have been kind of disappointed by House of Dynamite. And I want to talk about why, because when this movie came out initially at like festivals, everybody's really excited. Kathryn Bigelow is a really tremendous director, and she's made some really great work, notably Hurt Locker and Zero Dark 30 in 2012. But since then, it's been quiet. Her last movie before this was a movie called Detroit that came out in 2017 that I could not tell you anything about. And then she's been quiet. She did like a short film for Apple, and like otherwise it's been nothing. So now in 2025, we have a new Kathryn Bigelow film. She's 70 years old. She may not be making movies for a long time. It's hard to make movies. And this movie is a great example of the difficulties. Like House of Dynamite has a lot to do. It's got a number of settings. It's got a number of title cards that come up. It's based on work from a book from Noah Oppenheim, who is very dedicated to telling the story of these like systems that we kind of hope will be there when things go wrong, right? 50 and 60-year-old missile defense systems that the government operates that we just like kind of assume will spring into action when disaster is truly about to strike, right? And when a missile comes in and we see this, everybody's kind of calm at first and everybody's kind of quiet, but the movie's very dedicated to telling a story of people who are like not saying the quiet part out loud, that everything is going wrong. It's tension, and it's a high wire act. It's Quentin Tarantino said good suspense is like pulling a rubber band as tight as you can and just holding it. And through the first act of House of Dynamite, that rubber band is taut. The music is hot. Rebecca Ferguson's killing it. Things are going really wrong, right? Things are really bad. And then it takes a turn into Act 2 with something that seems like it's going to be exciting, but that ends up kind of starting to fall out of the sky. And by the time you get to Act 3, it's chunky and bad. And then Act 3 is kind of the worst part of the movie. Like that's really where it slows down and really where it gets not good. And that's a shame. And we don't really talk about spoilers here. We're not going to spoil where this movie goes, but like, man, this 3-act structure hurts it because it's just a repetition of the same events from a different perspective. And all that gas, all that momentum from Act 1 just stalls in Act 2. And by Act 3, it's a lead balloon. It just falls out of the sky.
Right. The first act is also my favorite. Rebecca Ferguson, always great. She's cooking and she's calm and collected in the face of what is essentially nuclear destruction or going to be. And it's very interesting to see the real life protocols because it's immediately, okay, confirm it. It's confirmed. Okay, get these 6 people on the line right now. Someone's indisposed. Get their deputy. Who are we talking to? They also start an evacuation, but only of certain people. There's an evacuation list and there's designated people that are on it, and it's not everyone. And like stuff like that, it's really thrilling because at one point, everyone who's left, like a few people leave the situation room because they're on the evacuation list. Everyone else has to just stay, and they do what's called a death list, and they just say, put your name and social security number on here, and we're collecting all for if there's a strike, a nuclear strike here as well. So some of that stuff, like the tension in that first act is so good. And, just we're panicking, we're getting people on the phone, we're getting different opinions. And, you have the military general saying, we have to strike now. We got to strike fast, got to strike first, got to show strength. You got other diplomats saying, no, let's wait, let's confirm. Let's see if we can find out who launched it. What does the POTUS say? And we can't get the president on the line. Like there's this whole delay. First act is great. It's amazing. The second act, again, we get a different perspective and it starts a little bit further up. We're not starting at the very beginning. And then Act 3, it just slams on the brakes. We get the presidential perspective, and it starts basically back at the beginning. And there's just a really long section before we get caught up, and all the tension that we have in that first act is just gone. And it's supposed to kind of still be there, you can tell, but it just isn't, and it just really doesn't work. So I said this would work great as a short film. Like that first 40 minutes is cooking. First half is cooking, and then it starts to really drag.
Yeah, like it is Kathryn Bigelow firing on all cylinders. And it's such a shame, too, because it starts off so strong. You're so confident going into Act 2. And the title cards are effective. Like, the movie bounces around a lot. We have a lot of locations. We got a big cast. I'll hit them real quick, just some of them that I took down. Rebecca Ferguson works in the White House Situation Room. Anthony Ramos is a military operator out in Alaska. Tracy Letts is General Brady, who's running the military, mostly in Act 2 is when we see him. Jason Clarke is Rebecca Ferguson's boss in Situation Room. We got Greta Lee is in this movie. Jared Harris is in this movie as Secretary of Defense Baker. Idris Elba is in this movie in a very odd casting choice that I'll talk about here in a second. And we have a lot of locations, right? Yeah, we're in Alaska, we're in Nevada, we're in the White House, we're at FEMA, we're in Chicago, like we're wherever the president is. We're bouncing around. We're in Russia at one point. Like we're bouncing around, and Kathryn Bigelow's moving us all over the board. Her movies are typically very lofty in theme, right? Especially of the military industrial complex. Hurt Locker is a lot about 9/11, and it's a lot about this response to war and violence from like a man who has to defuse bombs, right? Jeremy Renner's character. Zero Dark 30 is about like the quietude and the struggle of like classified information, like regarding government operations, starring Chris Hemsworth, but this is like the pinnacle of that, right? Like it's nuclear war we were talking about, the end of the world, global thermonuclear war. Like it is huge. And she addresses this in very lofty fashion. Like we move fast, it's kinetic, it's shot like Succession, it's shot a little like The Office, right? Handheld documentary style, very grounded. Our camera operators are doing like crash zooms on stuff. So when the sign changes from DEFCON 5 to DEFCON 2, it's like a big zoom. We're lingering on like this toy dinosaur that Rebecca Ferguson's kid gave her. And these title cards are really lofty too. I wrote them down. Inclination is flattening, Act 1. Act 2, hitting a bullet with a bullet. Very exciting. And number 3,
great line.
A house filled with dynamite, right? But we get almost all the events in Act 1. Everything big happens in Act 1. And Act 2 is just
after that.
It's just a retread. Yeah. And by the time you get to 3, you've seen it twice already. And it's like, no, like you have to give us more. And then, not to talk too much about it, but the ending is a flat out crash to credits that was frustrating for me, that reportedly people were like laughing at when this movie premiered because they couldn't believe it's how the movie ends. Like it's very odd. The structure hurts it.
So I did want to talk about the things that do work. I think this movie is edited very sharply because it is cutting all around. Again, different characters, different locations. It's got to keep you oriented. They've recreated the sets of these places. Like they're obviously not going to let you film inside the Situation Room and other places. And again, every section seems very authentic. They're using a bunch of military jargon. They're not explaining anything. The people in the room know all these terms, are familiar, and you have regular military people who man the radar stuff and the missile silos, and then you have these kind of more seasoned officers that are working at like DEF CON and the Secretary of Defense, and these big conversations. That stuff again, and it's done so well in the first act and a half or so. That's probably one of the strengths. Like again, there's so much energy, and it has to keep you oriented with lots of places, and then it just starts to kind of go on. It's too long. 90 minutes it might have worked, but it's nearly a full 2 hours.
Yeah, and I also really like the structure around central communication in the film. Like a lot of it is largely in like effectively a Zoom call, a large conference call that we're in. And like one character is in his office and is like the deputy NSA chief and has to go like literally running on foot. He's like on mobile versus like Tracy Letts, who's like in the military industrial complex. And he's like, sir, we have to fire right now. We don't get a choice. All right, it is what it is. Like, stop overthinking it. You get the president who's on the move, like, and is at an event when he hears about this in a very like kind of almost like Bush 9/11 thing where like the guy's like whispering in his ear, like, sir, something really bad's happened. We gotta get out of here. If you're reading the kindergartners. Rebecca Ferguson is in the Situation Room, like, and the like ability to keep us in track over the course of that call and have characters say something on one line in act one and then actually you see them say it on the other side in act two is cool. Like that central like plot device keeps us moving forward, and that's kind of like the churn of the drama in the movie. You have a character who has to talk to a representative for Russia as representing the United States and the president, like unexpectedly, because the president can't make the call. You have another character who's like trying desperately, like when he finds out where the bomb is headed, he like calls a loved one, and like you have a very like sincere phone call where he like says, hey, I love you, and you don't actually find out whether or not his loved one lives in the city it's going to or not. They don't say. Like you get this like odd suspense of communication. And interestingly, like even like the movie opens with Anthony Ramos taking a call from assumedly a girlfriend or somebody he's in a relationship with, who hangs up on him halfway through the call. Like communication is rendered ineffective. And that is the ending of like something, it's the beginning of something larger in the movie. And like, I think that's a really big theme. The cast is exceptional. Like you've got a lot working here. Like it's just this structure, this 3-act split just breaks it. Like it breaks the movie over its knee.
It does. Also, some of our characters, I heard this explained well. You're putting a hat on a hat, where, like Greta Lee's character is at the Gettysburg battle reenactment. She
says 50,000 deaths in 3 days at the Gettysburg reenactment. She says, "Yeah, I remember."
Yeah, look at us destroying ourselves. This is a giant metaphor.
Look at the country falling apart. Yeah, it's
Wow. So there's a kind of a lot of that stuff. Again, when we finally get to Idris Elba, he's doing this like basketball photo shoot with the Liberty, and Angel Reese is there, which I thought was cool. But then like it just goes on for too long. I was like, why are we here for 15 minutes? So there's just a lot of strange writing choices. I thought this was based on a book. It's not. It's just kind of an original idea written by Noah Oppenheim. But yeah, it just, like I said, brilliant in that first act and a half, and then just really falls apart in the last half. Very strange.
And the third act, I think, is the worst. It really falls apart with Elba. Like, first off, like the president is very cleverly blacked out in the Zoom call in the first two segments. Like you don't see him. His screen, his camera's turned off. You can just hear him. So you're watching the movie, and every once in a while, I cut to the president on Zoom, and there's just nothing there. And like, okay, we got to find out where the leader of the free world is here. Like the guy who has to make this decision. Where is he? Why isn't he on camera? Like, why isn't he seemingly taking this serious? And then we finally get it. And when you see him on camera, for a moment, I had flashback to watching like Heads of State a few months ago on Amazon Prime, because it's Idris Elba in a suit walking around the Oval Office. And then I realized, oh no, in that movie, he was the British Prime Minister. Here, he's playing the American president. And like Idris Elba can do an American accent pretty good. He did The Wire, but this isn't it. He's doing this accent that isn't quite on. And it's like, I'm just not convinced you're not Idris Elba. And like that whole third segment, he's on the move. So it's like him in a car and then him on a plane. So it's all shot real like mid. And he's got this one guy with him who I think is interesting. It's this military man who's clad in all white. He's got his honors on. and he's got like the nuclear football stuff. Here's exactly what you do, sir. You got to read this and do that. And like, he's kind of this like angel devil on the shoulder character. Like he's representative of like death and destruction, but he's like clad in all white. Like, I see the thematic interest of that. It's just shot kind of poorly. And because we've seen these events twice, by act 3, you don't care. Like, you're like checking your watch. It's such a bummer. It's such a bummer because it starts so strong.
We also have a score by Volker Bertelmann, who did the score famously for Conclave, and then before that, All Quiet on the Western Front. This score is kind of a mix of both of those. It kind of, I was a little bit disappointed because it wasn't anything new. I was like, oh, this is like the Conclave score, and then a little bit later, it's a little bit like All Quiet on the Western Front. But he's clearly just going to be one of those guys that Netflix works with. So unfortunately, not great. Like, the score works. I just wish it was different.
I know we got to wrap it up. We're running long, but it's funny. I did not know that's who did the score, but I was thinking about it because it's very dynamic, big strings, very dramatic. Then when you said it's the guy who Conclave All Squad, I was like, yeah, of course. I watched Conclave just like a month ago. Like, of course it's them. Like, great score. No complaints. Little, I don't know, samey. You just hear the same repeats because it's like the film told 3 different ways. It's like Run Lola Run or something. Any other thoughts or recommendations, Andy?
I think I'm ready.
Andy, would you recommend A House of Dynamite?
I would recommend like half this movie. The first act is brilliant, and literally you could just stop it after that. The concept doesn't work for the full time. It's too long. It doesn't know where to go in the second half. The performances, they're up and down. Rebecca Ferguson is so good. She's not great with accents either. She also doesn't care. She's like, they still give me the part. So save it. It's on streaming already if you're watching on Netflix. If you're interested in like military, political thrillers, it's definitely that. First act is brilliant. So if you're interested, it's on streaming.
Yeah, if you're into like military sort of films like this, like films with like big consequences that talk about like big global problems, you're a Kathryn Bigelow fan, give it a shot. Outside of that, man, it feels a little like a skip. Like, I just think it kind of falls apart in Act 3. Like, it's a great start. It's a really great open that will probably carry you through to the end, but that leads to one of the most baffling endings of the year. Really strange movie here. I hope Bigelow makes something else. I'm looking forward to seeing what she does next. Hopefully she does something next. We have got to wrap the show up. Oh my God. The long episodes are a delight and I like doing them, but dude, what are we doing to ourselves? What are we watching next week, Andy?
So we're going to be watching the long-awaited Bugonia, which is director Yorgos Lanthimos' next picture, famously previously did Poor Things with Emma Stone, stars her as well as Jesse Plemons. Really interested in this film. It's about two kind of regular day workers who kidnap the CEO of a big company because they think she's an alien, and that's all we really know. And that Emma Stone shaved her head for the role. So we're super excited about that. We've been looking forward to it all year. And we're also going to be taking a look at Ballad of a Small Player, which is a new Netflix drama starring Colin Farrell by the director of Conclave, which is escaping me now, Edward Berger.
Yeah.
Right. That's actually coming out today, October 29th. So we're going to be checking about that. It's a short 100 minutes that deals with a gambler in Macau dealing with inner and outer demons, I'm sure. And some things coming up in November. Predator Badlands, The Running Man, Wicked for Good, and Zootopia 2 are some of the big releases. But Bugonia and Ballad of a Small Player for next week. If you enjoyed the podcast today, if you like what we're doing here on Offscript, the best way you can support us is just subscribe to the podcast on any outlets you like it watching it on. If you like watching us on YouTube, seeing what we got going on over there, please come check us out. Hit the subscribe bell, notification, something, comment. It all helps. I promise it all helps. And engagement helps. And if you're checking us out on audio platforms, iTunes, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartMedia. It's been a couple weeks since I've done this. I got to dust it off. You can check us out there as well. Offscript on the go, right? With you on your run or your car ride or whatever. Offscript Ears Edition. You can find us over there. Socials, right? We're on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram at Offscript Film Review. You can check out our website, offscriptfilmreview.com for more. And you can email us correspondence directly from you to us at mail@offscriptfilmreview.com. Let us know what you thought of House of Dynamite. Let us know what you thought of Roofman. Is Costner washed? Time will tell. From all of us at Offscript, the home of bold cinema, I'm Zach Lewis. And I'm Dr. Draper.
Thanks for watching.